Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Call this meeting of the Fraser Planning Commission for April 2nd, 2025 to order at 7 p.m. If you'll please turn off or put on silent all cell phones. If you can join me in standing and starting our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, now we'll begin our meeting with roll call. Mr. Clerk, if you'll please do that.
Commissioner Barr.
Here.
Commissioner Zarnecki.
Present.
Commissioner Farina.
I'm sorry, I'm so far away, I can't hear you.
Commissioner Farina.
Thank you, here.
Commissioner Kyle. Here. Commissioner Meyer.
Here.
Commissioner Tuller.
Here.
Commissioner Warnick.
Here.
That is a quorum, sir.
Thank you. We now need approval of the agenda. If there's any discussion or comments on that.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Kyle, seconded by Commissioner Tuller. And if you'll do a roll call on that.
Commissioner Barr.
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnecki.
Yes.
Commissioner Farina.
Yes.
Commissioner Kyle.
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Tuller.
Yes.
Chairman Warnick.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Our agenda is approved, and I'll start with opening remarks. Okay, so tonight's meeting will follow the agenda, which was posted online and has been printed for you here. Before we begin, it's important to let everyone know that the Planning Commission is created by state law. The commission is comprised of 7 members, all of whom have volunteered to serve. Members are appointed by mayor and confirmed by city council. The role of the Planning Commission is to plan and promote the efficient, coordinated development of the city for the health, safety, and general welfare of its residents. We are not here to negotiate with applicants or allow everything an applicant is requesting. However, the Planning Commission does have the power to approve certain requests and recommend others. Depending on the nature of the request and whether all the standards in the zoning ordinance have been met. Planning Commission may also impose conditions on a proposed project in order to ensure that those standards are met. Other individuals here with us this evening are legal representatives from O'Reilly Rancilio PC, Alexander Hishong, our city planner representing McKenna and Associates, Lauren Sayre, and the city clerk, August Gischlag. The procedure, since we have a public hearing tonight, I'll add that the procedure followed by the Planning Commission for public hearings first involves the city planner providing an overview of each case. After the overview is completed, the applicant will be asked to provide additional information and answer any questions the Planning Commission members may have. After the Planning Commission's questions, the public will be invited to speak. Each person will have one opportunity to speak, must only speak directly to that specific case, and must only address the Planning Commission, not the applicant or anyone else in attendance. If you have questions, please direct them to the Planning Commission, and we may ask for answers to your questions if they are relevant to the factors of the Planning Commission is considered. After the public has had an opportunity to speak, Planning Commission members may again ask questions of the applicant, and then the Commission will consider a motion. All that being said, we will start with approval of the minutes for March 5th, 2025's meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have a change for the minutes, please. I found it tonight, I'm sorry. Under item unfinished business A, case SP 24-07, under the conditions, item condition number 2, it said provide a landing pad for egress to the back of each unit's door wall, not to each building. Because there are 2 units per building, and
That's correct. We did discuss that.
Right. Correct.
Okay, we got that? Got it. Okay, anything else?
And I move to,
I know we did, just so everybody knows, you did see that we have revised minutes,
correct.
and if there was anything,
Bullet pointed out all the things that were in paragraph form. It was a good idea by Commissioner Zarnecki.
Commissioner
Do it that way.
Zarnecki did that. Thank you. We appreciate that. Okay, any motions?
I move to accept them as corrected.
Second.
Yeah, okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Farina and support by Commissioner Myers, was it? Okay. Can you take a roll call on that?
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Farina. Kyle. Meyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuller,
Yes.
Commissioner Warnick.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have that approved. And our next item on the agenda is our unfinished business from the last meeting, and that's our public hearing. So we went over that, and as long as everybody in the public is aware of how it'll be handled, we'll start with comments and explanation made from our planner.
Thank you, Chair Warnock. So not much has changed since the last time, but since there's new people in the audience, we'll go through the proposed changes again. So currently, the existing ordinance, it's on the screen as written. It specifies that parking should be restricted to paved areas. Paved areas should not be permitted any required side yard or any required front yard, and except for the driveway in the front yard, unless it's necessary to provide access to the side entry garage, detached garage, side or rear required parking spaces. So this means that currently no driveways can be in the side or front unless it's to provide access to that 2 required parking spaces, which is typically a 2-car garage on most properties. Some clarifications. So under the current ordinance, anyone who wants to expand their driveway is not permitted to do so without obtaining a variance. And we aren't trying to create situations that require more people to have variances. To clarify again, a variance, it's basically approval to depart from the application of the zoning ordinance because there's unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty resulting from the physical characteristics of the land. So again, as a point of clarification, a variance is not a fee to deviate from the zoning ordinance. It's a mechanism that allows flexibility when there's unique circumstances outside of the property owner's control. And we want to reduce the amount of variance requests. In general, it's a good planning practice. It means that your zoning ordinance is, applicable, relevant, it's doing its job. But these also shouldn't be easy to obtain, because it does authorize that it runs with the land and it authorizes those deviations. So that's the ZBA's job, but just some background, because there was some information kind of going around about variances that wasn't necessarily true, so I wanted to clarify that. Additionally, these proposed ordinances for the residential driveways is less strict than the current one, therefore it cannot create conditions where more variances are sought because it's loosening the restrictions right now. So what's being proposed? First, a change in the definitions to add a definition for driveways to clarify that. Can't.
You're going really fast. I really can't hear you over here.
Okay, I can speak up. So the first area that we want to add is a definition. There's no definition currently in the ordinance. Having a definition helps clear things up. The definition we have proposed is that the paved surface providing access to an attached garage, detached garage, or other required or permitted parking on a lot. The second change would be replacing that existing ordinance that we just saw, and it would, the first section discusses the scenarios for if you have an attached garage, a detached garage, or no garage, the maximum width at the property line. This is to keep people from paving extreme amounts at the sidewalk line, the maximum width of the pavement. So in general, if you have a garage, it's the width of the garage plus 9 feet. No garage, 20 feet, and then the side setback. So that allows for there to be some room between your neighbors so you're not going right up to the property line as well. So some clarifications at the bottom, some kind of caveats is that the driveway expansion must be to the side first if there's side yard. So this would prevent people from paving their front yard. Again, we're trying to get away from that, but going towards the side if that's available. If it's not available, if their house is really close to the side, then they can go towards that front. But first, we'd like it to go to the side. And then second, if the driveway exceeds the width of the garage, then it has to taper from the intersection. So where the garage, or where this driveway and the sidewalk intersect, it would taper out to that expansion as well. Again, this just helps limit the impervious surface on the lot and also makes it so it's just not a huge chunk of concrete right at that right-of-way line.
Aaron, before you go on, can I, Lauren,
Yes,
the 1 foot side yard setback,
yes.
is that enough to allow the water to not intrude on the next guy's lot?
Yes. So I'll jump over to the next set. This is also included. It's just a kind of a long section. So this was reviewed by the city engineer, Mike Vigneron. And so how the driveway should be set up is so that it's running off. It should be graded so it's running off towards the street, towards the stormwater system. And so that's what item C up on the screen is. It addresses that they should be designed and constructed to prevent stormwater runoff from flowing. So again, that's why it's important to have permits for this stuff too, so that they see that it's installed and it's graded correctly as well, and not impeding on the neighbors. So that was a long way to say yes.
Okay. So I'm a longtime resident, and I've lived here for 40 years, and my driveway, a piece of it goes bad. Do I need a permit?
So currently under this, yes.
Why?
Well, it's the same thing with fences. When it's a remove and replace, we still require a permit just to ensure that it's not being expanded or anything like that.
How much do you charge me for a permit?
I would have to defer to the building clerk. I don't do the intake of building permits, so I'm not.
That's an extra cost to our homeowners, right?
Sure. And if you want to specify that, you know, a replacement of existing approved permitted concrete doesn't have to get a permit, you know, that's something that this board can discuss as well.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next item, it was discussed last planning commission. There was some kind of discussion on allowing gravel for parking. I was kind of mulling on that after. I did change it to the improved surfaces, but then I had short memo in front of you as well about the change. So I think this language is a little more flexible without allowing just outright gravel, which I think could lead to some issues. But it's parking shall be restricted to asphaltic concrete surfacing and or pervious concrete pavers or equal durability in accordance with specifications approved by the city engineer. So that would allow for a deviation for those permeable pavers, but the city engineer would review it to make sure that it's okay with him.
Okay, while we're on that, then, if I want to question you on this, because, and just to let you know, I didn't say anything yet beyond this agenda, but for the next agenda, I've already contacted one of the biggest suppliers of some new systems for impervious surface paver systems or whatever in parking lots, and they sent me things already. They're very interested in giving us presentations, so I just want everybody to know, because we did that in the past for the past 20-some years, allow updated new things, new technology, to allow people to come here and present it to us, so that the planning commission, since we're making these decisions, they need to know what's new out there. And there's a lot of new product when it comes to that. So I will, if we can add that maybe to next month's agenda, just a video to start things off, and because this is out of state, but they're big and they're one of the biggest ones. And maybe we can come up with some more information so we can inform the board, all of us, because to me, I want to know more about these. They look like great systems to allow an impervious surface that you can park on, and it doesn't look like a regular parking lot. It's not stone like we're talking about, gravel. So can we maybe adjust this a little more to new technology too, or somehow? That's why I'm speaking, because this doesn't really give. I liked improved surfaces because
Yeah.
that included
Where's
it.
crushed limestone? Where's gravel? Where's
It turns
these things
into,
are
yeah, there's different
you
things.
just
but-
decided that you don't want those, or what
I
happened
don't,
there?
I don't think that having gravel is going to be beneficial.
Not regular gravel.
No,
He's
like
talking
we're talking
about.
like crushed
it turns
crushed
into-
limestone and like crushed concrete that is then tamped down into a surface that you can use.
I think people are going to see gravel and they're going to think I can just put rocks down, and that's what they're going to do. And I think it's going to.
Well, that's why we got to be a little more specific. Maybe have that it's an
Barrier?
approved surface, or,
We gotta define.
so we got, yeah, it's kind of tough without,
I mean,
we got to be flexible to technology. There's a lot of new product that is out
Well-
and gives a chance for these things too.
The whole point
done.
that people don't want people parking on the grass, a lot of it is eyesores.
Right.
A large part of it is fire, which, in the summer and stuff, and dry grass, that's the thing.
The ruts, the
But
damage.
again, I failed to see the issue with gravel. Even if there's ruts and stuff and people park on it, they're not going to set their lawn on fire. They don't have to do anything about it as far as worrying about permeable surfaces. I don't understand why that was just removed, to be honest, or at least not even included in the list.
I mean, the list includes pervious concrete slash pavers of equal durability in accordance with specifications. You can change it to approved surfaces by the city engineer. I would defer to the engineer or the building official, not myself, for that. But, if you want to catch all, you can specify that. But I don't think we should encourage gravel necessarily, even if it is,
I disagree. I still think I like improved surfaces better, especially because it includes a lot of the new technology that Randy's talking about as well. Because according to this, that wouldn't fall into that either.
Improved surface, though, without any other caveat, is also going, though, to lead to a lot of different definitions of improved surfaces. So,
Yeah.
Commissioner Farina? you
What are we trying to avoid?
Yeah, well, I think if you take it to the city engineer, and especially if it's a new technology, he will get knowledge. He will learn about it, and before he can render his opinion. I happen to go with Lauren on this, that I've seen gravel where a guy hits it with a snow blower and put a rock through my neighbor's window.
Well, don't
Yeah.
snow blow on gravel, man. Use a shovel. There's easy like solutions for these. That's not the gravel's fault. That's being a bonehead.
Well, that's why you have ordinances, because people don't use common sense.
The gravel's not going to jump up and hit someone's window, though. That is him shoving the snowblower on the gravel and putting it into a window. It could happen with a lawnmower too. Like,
Well, I see that problem
Irrelevant.
definitely with regular gravel, because it's going to stay gravel forever. And that's probably the biggest problem. And you're talking looks, too. People don't want to be looking at something like that. But where you're talking is a different product. Now we're getting mix of
well, yeah.
products.
And then do we need to have like a list of like 35 things it can be, and do we need to define
That's why
the
I
difference
think-
between crushed limestone, crushed concrete, and gravel?
That's why I
and
think
pea
it
gravel
needs to
versus what's the
be-
middle gravel? Like, yeah.
I think that's the benefit of deferring it to a building official for saying, or surface approved by building official.
Right.
And so I did talk to our building official about this, and he said, I have mixed feelings about the gravel, because yes, you can do it well, but a lot of people, when they see that, they're not doing it well. So,
Okay. The only problem, and so the public is aware, the building official changes a lot here, because it's a third party. So it's not the same building official every time. So it could be 1 month and already there's a new building official. It's not like it was when I was here for 22 years as the building official.
But the city engineer has been here for 30.
So that's why maybe it needs to go even further. Something that's consistent, that's all I'm saying.
Regardless of who's the building official, they all are credentialed
should
as a
be.
building official and
Right.
are qualified to render that decision, in my opinion.
But there is a lot of, that have different feelings about different things. So consistency is what I'm talking about. And it's being transparent to our homeowners and the residents, just like if you're not aware of it, anybody in the audience, is that we tabled this from last time because this board wasn't satisfied with the way it was put out and noticed. And apparently, I don't know if people out in the audience had seen that now in the Chronicle as we moved it to there. So we're hoping that, we want to be transparent with all these decisions and everything to the public. You're the residents, we're all residents up here, and we want to keep our city moving in the right direction. So that's why you're part of it too, as well as all of us here. So we're just trying to be open with all that. So any other comments?
Just going to say I'm sorry I interrupted you, Lauren.
Oh, no worries. I'll try to run through the last part and then
Yeah,
get
please.
to the
Go
discussion and public
yeah.
hearing. It's not too much more, but the other change. So we've got the all drive. This was the same. All driveways shall be designed and constructed to prevent stormwater runoff from flowing onto adjacent properties. Driveways must be graded to direct runoff towards appropriate drainage infrastructure, such as swales, culverts, or stormwater management systems. This part changed after the discussion from Planning Commission last month. Sorry, it's actually the next section. There's a small section in between. Driveways must adhere to the impervious surface maximums in section 32.122.4, which is on the next slide. And then this is the part that changed regarding horseshoe drives. Horseshoe drives may be permitted only on corner lots or on the front, corner lots on the frontage without a garage frontage, or on lots with frontage on a street that does not allow street parking at any time. The width of the horseshoe drive may not exceed 9 feet at a given point. And then only one approach, which refers to the portion of the driveway that connects to the public or private roadway, is permitted per parcel. This limit does not apply to corner lots. It would also have to not apply to that frontage as well. So can add that, but that's a small change. And then the impervious surface maximums for the RM and the RL district are as follows. There's no change there from last month, but it specifies in the RM 50% of the total lot and 40% of the front yard, and 35% of the front yard for the RL, which is our larger lot residential, and 45 for the total.
Okay, so I have one item that kind of contradicted. So you got on D, we talked about the horseshoe drives being allowed on streets that have no parking on the street, but in E, you took that away from them by only allowing one approach in those conditions.
I just said that we'd have to clarify that and change that to allow for anyone that's allowed a horseshoe drive is allowed.
Is allowed
more than
that
one.
then, yeah.
So yeah, that's an easy change.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to catch on that then.
All right, thank you. Sure, let me go back to the slide. It was just on the last item, it specifies that only one approach per lot. That obviously wouldn't apply to horseshoe drives because they have two approaches under the right-of-way. So any lots where horseshoe drives are permitted would be allowed those two approaches. So that's something that, again, didn't get caught carrying over, but it's an easy change to make to allow that.
Okay, so that would get added and changed. Before the public, is any further comments or questions from the board?
Yes, I have.
Commissioner Farina?
Lauren, I've seen some driveways that are just flat, when we talk about the 1 foot runoff. And then I've seen some driveways where they come in, they put like a slight swell at the corner to channel the water down like you're talking about it. Would that be appropriate to put into this for side lots with closer than 1 foot or at 1 foot
So
to make sure the water gets channeled down? Because how are we going to,
Yeah, so, I talked to Mike Vigneron, the city engineer, about this. We originally had some language about the methods in which people should direct and, with, curbing, things like that. His opinion is that every lot's a little bit different. Curbing might not be appropriate for some, different approaches might not be appropriate for others, that more of a catch-all about having it somehow run into the existing stormwater infrastructure is the better approach.
Can you show, maybe I missed it. Does it say that up there? Or did you just say that in your words?
No, it's, oops, sorry.
Number 2.
It's
part
C up here. I don't have the laser, I have a digital.
Okay, got it.
It's this section. So driveways graded to direct runoff, yep.
Got it, thank you. Appreciate it.
Who's got the laser pointer? Oh, you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll throw people out of here.
I always used to supply it to the board members so that they could point to something, because usually we have pictures up there and stuff like that. Another thing, that's why, and I was going to get at that because of the 1 foot, and that it was going to be directed down, so that should make up 1 foot, still gives plenty, I think, to accept any groundwater too.
Especially, there are some houses that are pretty close together, especially in some of those neighborhoods, like when you're going around the corners and
Yes.
whatnot. There's like, your driveway is 1 foot from the next driveway.
Yeah, some are close,
So-
because they put them on different sides of the road and stuff like that. I guess my question, before I get to any others, is about existing. Because we have a community that's probably 90 to 95% already in existence and developed. So we have a lot of existing driveways. Do we want to add anything in here for existing to, like, a certain percentage of, I know I talked to other cities in the past month, and a lot of them don't even require permits or changes if it's like 25% or less that's being replaced or changed, so they don't have to meet the current standard because it's already there. So they don't have to, I know there's some that are probably closer than a foot, and if they already have it and they're replacing a portion of it, can they still keep it at the same?
So, I mean, I think that would fall under nonconformities, like every other nonconforming type thing. To clarify, are you suggesting we add a provision that if you want to change it up to like 25%, you wouldn't need a permit?
I don't know, that's up to the board and stuff. I'm just saying, I took some other samples of
I'm all for those
areas,
permits.
like St. Clair Shores does that, Sterling Heights does that. You had a lot of stuff last time on Sterling Heights, but Sterling Heights doesn't require permits for behind the house, and unless it's serving a structure like a detached garage. So they don't get involved with like patios and that, where I believe here, they've added any concrete in a backyard they want permits on. Now here's the other thing, because now we're talking two different permits, because building permits, which are usually more expensive because it goes by the cost of the improvement, versus zoning permits. Now, a lot of these issues are zoning things. Should there be a building permit, or should it be a zoning permit? And that's where I think a lot of the cities do that same thing. They just require a zoning permit when it comes to some of these improvements.
Well, for driveways, I think it should be building as well, because I'm going to tell you, I can't determine the grading of a...
Right. Yeah, there's certain things, but not like a patio,
Sure.
things like that there's really no code. The building code only addresses certain things. So the building department enforces, besides, the zoning ordinance, but for building permits is per the building code, which is the Michigan Building Code, or a residential code, whatever,
Sure.
instance.
And I have no objections to that. I think we're getting a little bit away from the task at hand, which is the driveway, which I do think should
Yeah.
be it gets a zoning
Yeah, we
review
can
and
address the
have,
other part.
a building permit as well. But I do think it's important for zoning to look at that in entirety, especially if we're creating impervious surface maximums, because that's going to be the real way to kind of make sure that those are being.
I think that's the key thing that we went for here, is impervious surfaces and totals on a parcel. So I think that's what started all this, isn't it?
I think maybe back in the original drafts that I know that you've proposed, like it's probably a decade ago, right?
Yeah.
But, the recent uptake is just a lot of resident interest in, expanding their driveway,
Getting
doing it the right
permits
way,
or, yeah,
things like that, yeah.
Doing expansion. So, somebody else, Commissioner Farina again? Oh,
Well, both of us.
Commissioner Barr.
I just got to,
Commissioner,
oh, shut up.
Commissioner Barr first.
In my opinion, the city gets too picky on some of this stuff.
Agreed.
I remember when I moved in on Garfield, and I wanted to do something. I mean, I had a driveway up to the, and then it was like all these rules. Well, no, then you got to blacktop all the way to the a whole lane, a street lane, or you can't do the little parking area. No. So I just said, and now it looks terrible. I mean, if they had just let me do that, it would have looked much better. But I think that people should have a little more leeway. This strict, my way or the highway from Fraser isn't necessarily correct for everybody. Somebody has to have more cars when they want a circular driveway, or they have, there's different things. And that's just my opinion. Okay.
Agree.
Okay, Commissioner Kyle?
You said that the circle driveways are only for corner lots, so if you live on a straight, you can't have a circle driveway?
It's also for lots that are on streets that don't allow street parking at any time.
Because I have one that was approved by the city, that was back before the thing we have now, there was no permits or anything, and I have a circle driveway. There's certain houses that you can't, you just have to have it, especially we had 5 vehicles at our house at the time when I did it. And I don't agree with this at all, on the horseshoe, circle driveway, whatever you want to call it. Because I think that if they have the size lot to do it, they should be able to do it.
Yeah, especially if we can fall back onto the impervious surface percentages, like the maximums. If they're not hitting the maximums, run a horseshoe drive. Who cares?
Okay, any other questions or comments before we get the public involved? No more? All right, so we're going to take it out to you in the public. If anybody has anything they'd like to discuss, please come forward, state your name and address, and we'll keep the conversation on this that we're talking about.
How you doing? I'm Scott Quinlan. I live on Spiceway.
Can you speak into the mic?
Sorry about that.
fine.
I live on Spiceway, 15626 Spiceway in Fraser Meadows North. I know we have a ton of young families that are in the area. The subdivision was built in the 90s, so a lot of the driveways are starting to get bad. Spiceway itself has a fire lane, so you could only park on one side of the street. I live in the cul-de-sac, so there's only 2 parking spots for 4 houses. In my immediate area, we have 4 families with 2 to 3 kids. So we have no parking. So, I just got notified by Lauren about this meeting today. And this was more, we want to build a side lot, just expand our driveway, taper it up, so we could fit 2 other cars. And we could accommodate for the street.
Have you already checked if it meets these requirements?
The ordinance, as it is now, it does not, because it would be an expansion. And right now, our driveway, it goes straight into our garage, but for the side lot, it does meet the, this variance of it, or this amendment.
So you wouldn't need a variance?
No,
to
we wouldn't
get it?
need a variance.
Okay. Okay. So there is a way to achieve what you what you want.
Correct.
I do
And-
understand if you're on a cul-de-sac, you said? Yes, because I was talking to somebody just this past week. They don't even have room between the two driveways as the cul-de-sacs come around to fit a car between the two driveways. So they can't park on the street at all because of that. But that's the design of a cul-de-sac and how they designed when they did the subdivision. So I understand that myself.
I mean,
But there is a way to at least achieve it if this is passed.
Yes, with this amendment, it does. You know, we can achieve what we need to do, and I know we already had a concrete contractor come to our house, and 4 of our other neighbors actually had them go to their houses too. So there's going to be a lot of variances that have to be put in if this does not get passed.
Okay. Commissioner Farina?
Lauren, on a cul-de-sac, do they have to go parallel to the curb, or can they go perpendicular to the curb? Parking
Are you talking about like
in a cul-de-sac?
in a cul-de-sac? Are you talking
Parallel.
about on street?
Yeah.
Do they have to go parallel or? Sorry, I have to visualize.
We see it a lot.
It's
It's the
parallel.
only way
I've
sometimes.
gotten a ticket for
doing
parking perpendicular because I grew up on, not in Fraser, but I grew up on a cul-de-sac. And I decided instead of, because no parking, right? So I just pulled straight in because I was like, all right, there's the little court
Is that
right
in
here. And I
Fraser,
parked right
Or
in.
is that,
Sterling Heights.
well then-
But
That's why
you
kids,
definitely can get a ticket for that.
that's why kids put the basketball net, they got that whole area because nobody can park there.
Oh,
So they have a nice little basketball court.
I've been there, done that. Probably
by
50.
the way, I'm down where Spiceway meets Rambling.
Yeah, I live on a cul-de-sac. They do it both ways. Is there a
Excellent.
public road?
I'm not sure what.
Yeah, that would be take it up with probably the police and find out before you do it, I guess, before they give you a ticket. I think they'd be, if you're a
Okay.
resident, they'd
Thank you.
be a little more. All right, thanks. Any other questions?
Yes, I have one for, well, you're with the public now.
Yeah, we'll come back after. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
My name is Reggie Sabin. My address is 17062 East 14 Mile Road, like a neighbor. And just first, I want to thank you guys for your service. You said that a lot of you are volunteers, so appreciate the heart really that shows for the community. My particular situation is I do have a horseshoe driveway, and I tow a trailer for my job, and with the width of my driveway, I'm not actually able to make the arc and stay on the driveway, no matter how
With the 9 feet?
right. So I wasn't even aware that I had a 9-foot restriction until just a couple of days ago. So what I would be hoping for is to make that expansion, just because it does cause that eyesore when the ruts form on the sides of the driveway, which can also undermine the integrity of the driveway, and sometimes my axles will grind on the concrete. So that's just my particular situation, and that I believe would fall in under the need for a variance to get an approval for that. So
Yeah, with this ordinance adopted, that would. Are you, where on 14 Mile is it?
I'm the second house that way.
Going this way? Okay, on the south side?
Yep.
Okay. Well, just so you know, I don't know if it's a business, your trailer? Oh, okay. Is it a business and you have a
Yeah.
trailer for business?
Yep.
You know it's not allowed in the front setback, the trailer by ordinance.
I have, so with my horseshoe, I'm able to actually back up.
Oh, and you can back it in?
Yes, I
So
can.
it's a way to get it in.
It's how I get it.
This is why I made a big thing, because of being on a main road. You're not allowed to back onto roads to go in. People do it all the time, but it's dangerous on roads that are 45 miles an hour, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's better to be pulling out forward. So that horseshoe drive really helps you
Oh, yeah.
achieve that then.
Yes. Sometimes if in particular situations, or if there's no traffic, I'm able to back into the driveway, but I don't think I ever back out onto.
But we did add, that's why Lauren added other requirements of being on a street that doesn't allow parking, which would be 14 Mile.
Right.
The Horseshoe Drive is in compliance, so it's the 9-foot. You already have this there?
Yeah, it's already there. Yep. So it's just, if I could just get a little bit more on the width.
Could you put
I would need a
pavers?
couple feet. I mean, would that be acceptable is that essentially what?
Does
would
this
not be
allow that?
acceptable accommodation?
I mean, does this ordinance allow it? It's a little bit ambiguous because you haven't really discussed what you want to do in terms of like the surface that you can park on. The current one, no, but the current one doesn't allow you
That's
to
where we're
do
going with
anything.
impervious surfaces versus pervious surfaces, and what would fall under that. Because some pavers, I mean, it's all the way it's done,
Right.
as long as the water,
So the pavers would
permeate.
fall under a pervious surface?
it's all, it's a lot of different variances on that, variations of what it could be.
So that could be like.
I
a
would
gray line
check
where you
on that.
to, an ability to accommodate the situation.
We really can't. On that, we wouldn't, us as a board, can't make that decision without the product maybe, or engineering. I think it'd fall under some of that too. I don't, Lauren, have you checked on this at all?
Well, so we currently don't allow parking on any surface besides like asphalt or concrete. So when people come and say we want to park on pavers, we tell them you can't right now. Like you can't for the ordinance.
Okay.
So this adds a little bit of ambiguity. Would have to add. It'd be changing a lot because you'd have to go back to the definitions of the driveway. Driveway is paved surface, so maybe that doesn't count as paved surface. Still have to be approved by the engineer. It's a lot of mental hurdles, but I'm sure this board will discuss a little bit more on if they want to keep the limitations on horseshoes, if they want to restrict it, or if they want to take those out and just make it an impervious surface maximum. But
I personally I just inspected a house that has a $300 and some thousand paver job in the front. All the driveway, it's not in Fraser though, but it's all pavers, and it is the best looking thing I've ever seen. It is so rich looking.
Yeah,
And
if you
it's
do it right.
perfect if it's done right, because you can make it where they start tipping around and that kind of stuff, and then it looks bad. So whatever would have to be, I think, down, something that's going to be consistent, and whether it has support or whatever it takes to do that. That all comes into play too, because then enforcement can come back at you and say that's, it's not acceptable if it's going to start caving in and doing different things. And I'm sure the neighbors wouldn't be happy seeing that.
One question I would have is what is is there a current percentage of maximum pervious driveway? Right now, there is no.
No,
There's
not
set
currently.
percentage. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why we're doing
Perhaps
this.
if that
And this isn't
was one
adopted
created
yet, but
and it fell underneath that percentage, that's, I believe, something you were proposing earlier, was where as long as it fell under the percentage, perhaps that could be a way to accommodate these variances without needing to pay extra for the variance.
I feel like we're using variance really loosely here, and we're using it a little bit too much because, again, the intent isn't for people to. There's no way to capture everyone, of course, but for most people to achieve, what they're trying to do. I think the board discussed that potentially in just making it instead of restricting horseshoes, just making it the impervious surface maximum for the front yards, and I'm sure the board can discuss that, but. Yeah, as Randy mentioned, it's not currently adopted. The earliest would be May if they make a recommendation tonight, which
And then do you know
Do
if
hope
you're
that.
RM or RL?
I can't remember.
Residential?
Yeah, I did look into that a while
We
ago.
can look at a map real quick and see, but that'll determine your percentage of the front yard. So,
So in
there
my-
it is right there. So it all depends on that too, and meeting that. But then again, that isn't adopted yet.
Okay.
So that's all we can say there. Commissioner Toller, do you have something?
Yeah, no, I think that we should strike the entire thing about horseshoe driveways. I don't see the point in regulating that. I don't see the reason to tell anyone what they can and can't do. If they can fit it, they can fit it. And if it fits in the maximums and the lowers, why are we adding more into it? It should be very simple, especially if we have it, the whole point is to make sure rainwater goes somewhere good and people aren't leaving their entire yard.
You add to confusion by doing more things.
I think so. I think everything about the horseshoe driveway should just go. Because like me, I'm on 0.39 acres. If I want to, I should be able to do a horseshoe drive. I'm not a corner lot.
Right.
But I
That's
should.
I think the biggest issue with all of this is every parcel has different attributes,
Yep.
qualities. It makes it tough. So that's what makes it tough for us up here and for planner to come up with something that works for everybody. It's just the way, we try to come up with something that's going to be acceptable and consistent and keep us in the right direction, but that's why we have the variance board, zoning board of appeals, to allow different things because of maybe a situation in that. So, I mean, that can be part of a motion. We can figure out if, let's finish with the public and then we can discuss things.
That's good.
Yeah, I believe I've been heard, and I think it would fall more in line with what Trevor was saying. So,
Okay.
just something to add to your list of things. To think
Good. No,
about.
thanks for coming. We appreciate
appreciate
the
it.
input.
Thank you.
Just do it quick.
Hi, I'm Gerald Osowski. I live at 17040, right next to the park, the entrance to the park there on 14.
Okay?
And I have that house and the lot. And what I want to do is I want to add on to the driveway. So when people come over, I'm actually driving on my lawn, my front lawn, to turn around. Because I don't want to back out on 14.
Right.
I just want to add on to my driveway. And then when people come over, they got a place to park because they're going to park all over the lawn.
Have you checked on if this ordinance would work for you?
Well, I have like I said, I have the lot next door, so if I have the lot next door, there shouldn't be a problem, right?
Nothing but clerical stuff.
I'm sorry, I missed something. You're on 14 Mile Road?
Right next to the park.
Right next to the park entrance?
Right entrance.
First house east of the,
We put in there that if you don't have on-road parking, that you can put,
Okay.
well, it's not as clear with that. I mean, that's what we had talked about before, I think, but now it's only falling under horseshoe drives.
well, it should,
I thought previously we had talked like that was going to be.
correct.
That's the motion that was made last time, and Trevor made that motion, and that changed with Lauren's what she added into here. So she made it fall only under the horseshoe drive. So if we have to address something like that, we can look at it.
We do, yes.
And, I get deliveries, and actually they pull in my neighbor's driveway, Reggie there, his driveway, I live next to him. They pull in his driveway, because they feel, he's got the circle, so they feel.
You probably have company besides parking on the grass, they probably park in the park, right?
No, what?
If you have a big party, they probably park in the park.
I don't have that big of a park.
Oh, okay.
But when the picnic,
Oh, yeah.
picnic's there, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody parks all over the place,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, but you did you say you did check that this would that?
Well, I have that extra lot, so I should be able to put concrete
Yeah.
on it, right?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you meet the ordinance, if there wasn't anything in there, you didn't have, I don't know if you saw the ordinance before tonight, have you? Okay, and that's because the publication, first off, we didn't have it in, it was in the Macomb Daily, which I don't know if anybody here reads the Macomb Daily. We know most don't. And it's not a big, whatever the publication is, but it's weekly, so it's daily and that, and we had to be published in a weekly, if I'm not mistaken, right, Mr. Attorney? Yeah, I think the state required it to be published in something that was published weekly, at least at a bare minimum, So we added that we wanted it in the Chronicle because everybody in Fraser gets the Chronicle. Every household gets the Chronicle. And we want to be as transparent as possible for everybody to see that. So that's why you got it. Now, how it was published, it really just skimmed the surface and had you come to the building department to see the info you got. So you could have seen it earlier if you did it, if you had come in and seen it.
Yeah, I didn't, actually, last night, my wife seen it online or something. She told me about, you
Oh, okay.
go down to the,
You didn't see it in the Chronicle, or did you?
I didn't know, my wife's
Oh.
seen it
Me on
online
Facebook.
somewhere
Oh,
on her
okay.
phone.
Okay. It's a little different because here we are trying to be transparent to everybody, and I personally don't think the Chronicle was complete. I always put the whole new ordinance in, but that adds to a lot of expense too, and we try to keep the cost down. So hopefully you read what it says, and it forces you to come to the city and find out all the info that's on here. So apparently you just got it online, so,
Yeah, my wife just told me about it.
and so you didn't even know all this stuff till you came to the meeting here, okay.
What she read was, you can go down and, for a permit, or it's gonna cost $900, and they'll tell you if you can do it or not.
And that's not quite true that
Yeah.
way.
Well, that's what she thought she read, or what people are saying.
Now, if you had to
Don't
come
believe
for a
everything people are
variance,
saying.
that would be the cost of a variance
$900?
to go in front of the zoning board of appeals, and no guarantees that they would approve it.
The problem that we were seeing on Facebook is that people weren't actually reading what it said. They just saw that we want to make some, rules on what you can and can't pave. Because right now, you can't do anything. There's no rules, and it's all illegal. So we're trying to make it very easy so that people actually can do this. That's the point of the meeting.
So some people it affects positively that they don't need to go for that variance. They would just need permits. And just as long as they meet this, they've got to give it to you because you meet the ordinance. So they would issue the permit based on that you meet the ordinance, and then you would be allowed to do it. So some of these things, the previous ordinance might not have allowed it. So some people are benefited. There's people in this room that benefited by this ordinance coming out, and they could do what they wanted to do and didn't have to go for a variance. So that's the goal, is to we want to put out something that helps you not need a variance, but can still be acceptable to most people and do it. And that's why we have this meeting. We have a public hearing so the public can put their input in.
Okay.
So we appreciate your input, and sometimes it's just a matter of knowing, though, and it probably would have helped you maybe address certain things, but we understand now what you want to do, and hopefully this will help you. But you got to look, too, that it meets the impervious surface portion.
Another problem I have is, when you put the fire hydrants down 14, you put the one on my lot, not on the boulevard, but on my lot.
Yeah, you'd have to,
Everybody else it's on the boulevard, so now mine's right on, I don't understand.
I would go to the building department first. They can address it maybe with the fire department and see if it is. Some of them might have been a commercial place there first before, and sometimes a commercial or industrial building, because I think there was something there long in the past that required maybe a hydrant, and that was part of it.
The old one was out by the street.
Oh, and they just replaced the old
When
one?
they went down the whole 14, they put all new fire hydrants. Somehow they brought it into my lot.
You know your right-of-way line, though, which is actually your property?
Yeah.
Because most people
Both of them.
think because they maintain it, that's their
On
property.
both lots.
Okay. Yeah. Commissioner Farina?
Well, he needs to go to the city. We can't.
Right, we can't,
I'm just
yeah, we
saying,
can't
I just
answer.
brought that up, that
Yeah.
that isn't right.
Yeah. Thanks, no, we appreciate any input.
If it's on your property, tell him you're going to charge him rent. And if it's not on your property,
I've been paying on it for 30 years.
You been there that long?
I owned it for that long.
Have you? Okay. Oh, okay, but it was a rental then, wasn't it? Yeah, okay. Okay.
And the house next door is my brother's house, which Reggie owns now.
Okay,
So, yeah.
okay. I knew you didn't live there before because I knew some of the people that lived there.
Right.
Okay. Anybody else in the audience? Yep,
Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else coming forward?
Right on the maps, you can see his fire hydrant right on the property.
Yep. Looking right at it.
Doug Buchanan, 15767 Kingston Drive. So I was here 5 months ago trying to get an expanded driveway. And the reason why was because I wanted to put my truck on the side, coming in the winter, so I had more spaces, you know.
Could you speak into the microphone a little more? Thank you.
So I have a muscle car in the garage, and I just getting in and out. It was just an inconvenience all along. Then coming in the wintertime, my girlfriend didn't want to park in the street, so on and so forth. So now I have a issue of upcoming summer, and I have a camper. So I want to utilize my camper in my spot, which is a perfect spot, identical to the same identical cement of my neighbor who has the same expanded driveway that I can't get. And then I got neighbors with RVs and they're parking right next to their house. I go around my street in Fruhoff Heights and I see a guy behind me has 2 campers, trailers, boats, and no building behind it, you know. And I'm just like, it's just so unfair, you know. And I get approved for my other permits, no problems, you know. And I just feel like having to pay $900 for a gamble is just kind of like, it's not going to fall in my favor on this ordinance.
Well, just so you know the history, there never was a requirement for a permit for that.
And then
Only
before
for the what is in
1996.
the right-of-way, the sidewalk and the approach had to be 6 inches, and that was inspected by our DPW, and there was a permit required for that. There were no permits in the past, so those people got it the proper way, and they did everything the right way, so at that time, they got it. Now we're in a different time period, and the system has changed, and that happens over times in building
And
departments.
I don't see what the reason is. I really don't. I go to my sister's. She's in Harrison
It's not
Township.
for us either.
She's in Harrison Township. There's boats and everything all over the place,
Right.
you know.
Right.
We got this picky city that people aren't going to follow it anyway, you know. I got neighbors parking on their grass with 5 cars, you know. It's like, is that what I have to do? Park on my grass with my camper so I can enjoy my camper?
That's why we're trying to alleviate that, but it makes it tougher. I know what you mean. I know, especially when I talk to people like John here who had 5 cars. They had to have, I grew up with 5 brothers that all had cars, multiple cars too, and the parents both drove, and
I have 6 cars.
yeah, so I know what you're going through,
Yeah.
and it's been that way in Fraser a long time. In some of the subs that are only 50-foot wide lots, and you already got the driveway, that you can only get 2 in there, and maybe squeeze 1 toward the back, and maybe 3. But then the one at the front's always got to get out, so everybody's got to come out, move for that 1 car to come out. So I know it's tough, and that, you know, and nobody takes that into consideration, I think, when they're buying a house always, because you just figure you can do
It's
something.
like everybody's in a different situation.
It is, everything's
fine,
different,
so-
and families change.
Yeah.
Families get bigger, families get smaller. it goes both directions, so it makes it tough to do that, so we just hope the public, I mean, we always want input, like for something like this is ideal. I wish there were more public with comments on stuff.
Well, what do I do for now? I got this roadblock for the past 5 months. I want to bring my camper home, get it ready for it's spring officially.
Right.
I mean, do I just park it on the grass and say, okay, whatever you guys want, give me the permit? So what do you want me
Well,
to do?
there is, there's ordinances, of course, for paved areas and that, so we're trying to
Yeah,
look at different options.
I know, but you guys keep pushing it month after month. This
I
is
know,
my fifth month.
I know, we did that last month at that.
Kinda-
But, and you would meet it with this new ordinance, right?
What?
Isn't that what you said last month, that you would meet
Yes, yes.
what you want to do, and you
definitely.
wouldn't have to go for a
I've measured
variance?
it, I've cut down a tree, I'm prepared, and I got the roadblock here,
Okay, so, no, I
So-
think that's in our minds here. Go ahead.
So we understand that you are in support of us passing what we're talking about passing today then, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
I mean, it's a only avenue.
there we go.
Yeah,
That's what we
Beautiful.
want to hear.
Just to clarify, it's a recommendation to council, not passing or.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, all we're doing is making a recommendation to council, so it's still got to go to council.
Yeah, we can't really do anything.
okay,
Okay,
all right, thanks.
okay. Thank you for your input again. Anybody else? Nobody? I'll bring it back to the board then. Anybody with further comments? Then Commissioner Farina?
Yeah, we've heard from the planner, counselor. Can you guys defend this in court, this new ordinance? You've reviewed it, you're in line with it?
Yes, it can be defended in court. I guess, are you asking if someone tries to say that it's like unconstitutional or something like that?
No, I mean, if somebody takes us to court, this is all in line with the law and you can defend it.
Yes,
Okay,
as far as I'm concerned.
I just want to know that. If I don't ask, then somebody will say, well, why didn't you ask that question?
It's a good question.
Lauren, on this thing, I'd like to add to this that replacement of up to 25% of existing concrete does not require a permit to be pulled.
Okay, is this all concrete on the lot or just driveway?
Driveway.
That wouldn't be part of this, though, would it? I mean, is this something maybe we need to get together and,
Oh, it's.
No, I think
it's part
it
of
could be
this?
part of this.
can it be part of this?
Or no permits. There never used to be.
Well, that's-
Well, I'm just thinking, because when it comes to that, now do we go to the backyard and say, no, permits required for, like other cities do? It's all, I would think the thing with permits is a little different, because it's
All I had to do was get a permit for the approach. 'Cause I had
it's council with the building department, maybe, or,
Yeah, and we can discuss patios and paved areas in the background at a later time. We can
That's
take
what I
another
want.
6 months for that one if you'd like,
Good.
but, no. But yeah, I don't think that's necessarily
It wouldn't be a
pertinent to
problem with this
I don't
one?
think it's pertinent to this one. I think it can be
We added in later.
later. And, maybe it's just with the overall ordinance,
okay.
including that.
Okay, so if somebody, are there any other comments or questions first?
Yeah,
Before anybody makes a motion or anything?
I still think that we should strike that entire thing about the circle drive out.
Could be
completely.
part of a motion, so,
Okay, well,
We're-
want to make
let's
sure
see,
everyone else
and
is on
we'll-
board with it.
yeah.
It's the discussion, right? Does anyone disagree?
Yeah.
That you do?
I do.
Okay. I'm curious why, though.
I think it depends on how big the property is before horseshoe drives can be allowed. And I understand it doesn't have to actually be on a main road, but even, to me, if I live next door to somebody, my lot's small. Concrete horseshoe driveway takes away all the.
Well,
green.
it wouldn't work anyway, because they can't meet
Because of
that
the
9
size.
foot and make the
They can't
radius.
make the radius. Yeah, that's,
Okay.
you
So
gotta be able to.
they would almost have to concrete the whole front yard then.
Right, that's what it would.
And that's why we got the
9 foot.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank
the
you.
impervious surface. So I think we're covered for that, because we have conditions that would force it not to be allowed.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Teller, I thought we were referring to the gravel.
Oh, no, that's
Gravel.
that's something where, if we need to, have it, it sounds like what they're saying is, we don't want to just make it in there and say, yo, gravel can just go down. So that way someone doesn't just, dump two pickup beds full of gravel and slides around for a year and destroys it. Obviously, it's a completely different thing when you get crushed concrete, tamped down with a barrier, with a proper, bottom thing. Yeah, that's a proper installation. And when talked to the city engineer, that would be something I'd assume they would be accepting of.
What guarantees it of it being done the proper way?
Other than
Is
telling.
it going to be inspected? Is it going to be
Yeah.
whatever? I mean,
So,
We have gravel driveways.
So
yeah.
I'm in line with, I don't have a problem with the Horseshoe Drive.
yeah. Yeah, get rid of that completely.
So for clarification, for my sake, so we were talking about striking basically
Yes.
this whole thing, and then this whole thing would also be. Sorry, I got a little crazy with the highlighter, but I think
E and F then?
yeah, that's what I'm hearing, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a frontage without,
Yeah, get rid of all of it.
well, why can't we just say horseshoe drives are permitted wherever lot coverage allows them and proper turning distances are achievable?
I don't know if that's implied or not. It could be implied. Do you think that would be implied if we, do we
nothing's
need to spell
implied.
that out?
Oh, it's got to be 9 foot wide.
I think that I mean, there's a lot of driveway types that we kind of singled out horseshoes here. There's actually quite a few different driveway configurations. I think it is, especially if you take out that only one approach is there.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because with being devil's advocate, if you gave, they could have two approaches, you're going to have two separate driveways just to have a parking pad on one other one, maybe, instead of a horseshoe drive. And how does that look in the front yard? You know?
I think we're trying to solve
I
something
know.
very, very minimal, and we're going to be preventing a lot of people that want to be able to do things from being able to do it. Like even just thinking about the entire neighborhood that's behind on the west side of Utica, just south of 14. Almost every single house in that neighborhood is wide enough to do a horseshoe drive, and
Right.
40% of them do.
Yeah.
And again,
And that's a county road, they'd have to go to the county for another approach.
well, no, west of Utica, in that whole subdivision.
Oh, in
all
the subdivision. Yeah, they're
all the
wider lots.
parcels are large enough to do stuff like that, and it shouldn't be an issue. If you are adhering to the proper surface maximums and everything, then
Yeah.
just send it.
But that's the same sub Mr. Buchanan's in too, so it's like he doesn't have enough room probably
Yeah.
to do that, but a lot do. Some of them are old, and.
Yeah, he's on the other side of Kingston. I think I meant the other way. My bad.
No, you're in the right, west of Utica.
It's Frohoff.
Fruhoff,
That's
between Fruhoff and.
Between Fruhoff and Utica. Everything on Kingston, Utica, Admiral, and so on. All those houses could definitely.
Yeah, but there's also houses in there that have 80 and 90% lot coverage with concrete.
Which is why we don't want that to happen.
Well, that's exactly right.
That's also, unfortunately, my house butts right up to another house that has 100% backyard concrete coverage, and I have a lake in my yard currently. And unfortunately, I can't do anything about it now, but
That's
I
the
definitely want to
problem in
make sure
rear
people
yards,
can't do
because
it.
rear yards can't get it to go to the front without building it up then, and then, yeah. There's
But
just-
less restrictions is better. I think that giving people the ability to add space in a reasonable manner that's not everything, love it.
okay.
Lauren, what would you recommend?
Well, you'll like this because I think I've changed my mind on when I said no to you. But I think it would be good to specify that horseshoe drives are permitted. They have to adhere to that maximum front yard coverage, and then also specify, just because I'm looking at the requirements of these driveways from this table, it's really addressing just the straight driveway access. It wouldn't really be applicable to horseshoes. It says you can't go into the front first. It says, but I do think keeping that 12-foot width at the right of way would be also important, so that you're not paving it to be like a
Exactly.
really wide horseshoe.
Cool.
So I would add that, and I think I would add the clarification of horseshoes being allowed doesn't have to follow that set, but still has to follow that 12-foot at the right of way.
I have a question. How do we do that? Counselor, does it require a motion? Does it do we just ask her to make that change? Do we?
Yeah,
do
so-
we have to vote on that
So
separately?
I think you have to vote to move this forward to city council. I pulled the ordinance on this, so here's what it says. It says, "The planning commission shall at one or more of its meetings study and evaluate the proposed amendment, supplement, modification, or change. The planning commission shall make a tentative report and hold at least one public hearing with proper notice as required by state law before submitting its final report to the city council." So really, you're submitting a report to city council. So I think you can vote on something, and then if, it has to make its way to city council, but if there's changes that you want to propose to what Lauren has written in her report here, I don't see why, you couldn't do that. Let's say you tell Lauren what you want it to be changed to, and then in the next couple of days, that's part of your written report that goes to city council.
So we'd need to see it so that we can all make sure that that's
Right, I'd
been
like to see a
discussed.
copy of it before it goes with the change.
Not necessarily. You can recommend it for council approval with the following conditions that it's changed to this. And that's happened before. It's a very normal process.
So would they get this one
No, they would
with the
get,
changes, or
they would get the clean one.
That's what I mean. So
Yeah.
it'd be good for us to see it, just in case we see something that's not what we meant. Just in case, I'm just saying. But that can happen quick, then.
Well,
Would
then
we have to go through a meeting?
No,
We
so
don't want to
with-
drag this out.
So with how council is situated, it's a week. Well, it's next Thursday. The packet deadline, the city manager told me, is today at noon. So there's no possible way for us to get that on this month's packet. It's going to May's packet at earliest. If you push it back another month, June's packet, so forth. Yeah.
I don't think we want to
Nope.
push it back any farther. We'd just like to see a copy of it prior with the changes to city.
Right.
Okay.
Plus part of that report too, I'll read the rest of the ordinance here. It says, and then, so that's the part, so the part that I read says, required by state law, submitting its final report to the city council. Then next sentence, same subsection, says, a summary of the comments submitted at the public hearing shall be transmitted with the report of the planning commission to the city council. So you're getting your public comment here as well. I mean, it's sort of contemplated that it's not, you can make your motion, but what ultimately goes to them is sort of a written summary of what happened tonight.
Oh,
If you want to see it, I can send it out via email next week.
Yeah.
And you can give me a call, give me an email if you don't like something.
Okay,
Sounds great.
Beautiful.
that's great.
Okay, let's move on.
And then, and the public still has opportunity to go to the council's meeting, because it'll be the same way. I mean, it'll be an agenda item. So you can make comments at that, too. Okay, anybody want to make a motion?
I do. I move that we recommend to forward this to city council for adoption with the following stipulations, that the change for the horseshoe driveway be made, and the change for not requiring permits for 25% replacement of current driveways be included.
Second.
Can I ask some clarifying questions? For that 25% permit, is that for both zoning and building permit? All permits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then are we keeping,
Oh, wait, zoning would, if they're replacing, they're not increasing any non-conformance that they have.
Pre-existing.
So it's pre-existing, so
I think
we
that's
can go
fine
to
too. We were
zoning.
just discussing it, so I wanted to clarify.
Well, it might not comply, but since it's under 25%,
Well, if it's a replacement, it should comply, right?
no, not always, because say the driveway goes up and it's already non-compliant now, and they want to replace a slab that's bad to keep it looking nice and that. So that one already is non-compliant, but they got to match all the other ones up anyway. So now you're not adding to the existing nonconformity, but you're allowing the existing nonconformity for that spot that you're replacing.
So are you saying there should be a zoning review?
No.
No.
Then
That's why
then
the
I don't know
20
why we're.
No, that's why the 25, if it's only 25% of it, it's allowed to
No,
exist.
that's fine. I
to
was
keep
just
existing.
clarifying.
Yeah.
And then you were talking, so I just wanted to clarify that that was the
Yeah.
same direction. The other point of clarification is on the surface. I know there was some discussion. Is there any additional motion on the update to the surface?
Oh, that's fine.
So let me just go through real quick. Parking shall be restricted to asphaltic, concrete surfacing, and/or pervious concrete pavers of equable durability in accordance with specifications approved by the city engineer. So does everything got to go to the city engineer? That's what that means. Basically, they have to give you an approval. So even if it is asphaltic concrete, the way this is worded, it sounds like the specifications have to be approved by the city engineer. I don't think they should have to be involved if it meets this part, but if there's an abnormal thing, yes, they need to be involved.
Are we still going with city engineer over building official as well?
Oh,
For new products, yes. You're going to go to the city engineer.
yeah.
Why just new?
No, we can do,
Why do you want to pay the city engineer to evaluate concrete?
I don't think that
Right.
was the intent of this, but,
No, but that's the
I
way it
understand.
sounds.
Yeah, so I can
Word it.
clarify
reword it.
that, but,
Cool.
so just, okay. Yeah, okay.
I think it should be allowed almost with all of that to continue as long as it's an acceptable practice. Because now you've opened up some different things with the and/or pervious concrete pavers.
Yeah, that's fine. We can cut it at the concrete surfacing, make it a new sentence. The city engineer shall have the authority to approve X, Y, Z thing on that. That's easy change as well, but I just wanted to make sure that was smoothed out because it was discussed. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else to add? Is, we have a good motion. Did we have a second?
Yep.
Mr. Frana, did you mean to remove E and F, or did you want to, originally when you talked about it, you wanted to replace it with size allows or something? Generic.
Replace it with size,
I want to know, that wasn't in the motion, so I want to make sure that's what you want.
yes.
Okay.
Horseshoe drives are permitted as long as they meet the size requirement that's
E and F are permitted if they meet size requirement. Thank you.
Okay.
12 foot at the lot line is.
I'm sure it'll be, Lauren will organize it so it looks all good.
Figure it out in one.
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yep. John, you had a question?
Well, yeah, just real quick. My house, my driveway, which was there when the house was built, is right on the property line. So it's not going to be a problem if I got to replace it to 25%, correct?
Right.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because there's a lot of houses like that where their driveways are right on the property line.
Yeah, that's been that way for years.
Forever. Okay, let's get this done.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion by Commissioner Farina with amendments and supported by Commissioner Tuller. Let me take a roll call.
Commissioner Barr.
No. I think there has to be a lot more done to this before we even send it to the,
Commissioner Zarnecki.
Yes.
Commissioner Farina.
Yes.
Commissioner Kyle.
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Tuller.
Yes.
Chair Warnick.
Yes.
That passes.
Thank you.
I'll send you an email next week.
Okay.
The draft.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can I ask a question, please, just for my clarification and the audience? Is there an actual public hearing in front of City Council for this item? I always get myself confused.
Yeah. Or an agenda item only.
Yeah, I think they do, and maybe August knows better, but I think that they do a general public hearing for all agenda items at
He
council.
does one for everything.
Okay.
Public hearing for every item.
So if anybody wants to speak at City Council, be aware of the agenda and when you can speak during that meeting.
Should be on the May council agenda.
And the notice will not be published in the newspaper, so you won't, you'll have to,
And remember,
Make
this
sure you see
is,
city
just because
council.
we approved it, it's not done deal.
it's a recommendation.
It's a recommendation to council.
And they'll approve it in May.
Thank you.
Commissioner Farina?
Yes, I just want to say to the public, the amount that are charged for different things are reviewed by city council during the budget period. If you have input that you want to go to the city council, I suggest you do that. If you think that it's too costly to go for a variance for a residential person, I personally do. I've talked to some city council people. You should do the same. You know, go to the city council meeting, make your feelings known. It's your government.
And that public hearing regarding the fee schedule is next week, Thursday.
Oh, same time as this meeting for this. to-
1 week.
Part
So-
of the council agenda that day is the public hearing on the budget, and the fee schedule is part of the budget.
Okay.
Thank you.
So perfect opportunity to come, maybe make your thoughts known again, because they're just getting what we give them now. And if you have to repeat because you're for it even, or against it, be there. And then any additional input you could give then would be great for them. Just helps them.
You'll probably see some of us there too.
Mr. Chair, go ahead.
Okay, can you come forward? Just give your name again and,
Jerry Osowski.
Wait, you
Uh,
can't do that.
well, we can't open up the public hearing. We didn't close it though, did we?
I just
Yeah,
have a
You
question.
did.
Yeah.
But we're on.
Well, wait, you got to wait now until the public to be heard. It's just a different item. You could be, okay, that's just not on this item. We've closed this item.
You're talking,
Hold on. Okay, let's move on with this. Are we all set?
Yeah, I think it's item 7, new
Everything's set for
business,
that?
yeah.
Then now you can have him.
Okay. Yep, so let's go.
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Yes, please.
I've been holding back because I didn't know when to bring this up. But if there is an item on city council about the fee schedule, which I was not aware of, I randomly went to different websites within the city to check out what variances cost, zoning variances cost. And some cities do lower the cost of a variance for residents. So I just want you to be aware of that, maybe do some homework if you do come to the meeting and discuss the fee schedule with city council. I was not aware that that's on the item, and I didn't want to bring the fee schedule in with the item of the residential driveways, so, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so new business, there is none, so public communication on non-agenda items, what did you have?
well, my question was on the variance of, say I want to pour 10 yards of concrete, 12 yards. It's going to cost $100 a yard. And for me to get the okay, it's going to cost $900 to get that variance? That
Well,
don't-
it's an open line.
That's what
correct?
we're talking about. You know, that if, you might not even need a variance.
No, but people that do.
People that do, I would come to the council meeting and talk about fees.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
Just because we're on this board don't mean we agree
We-
with
yeah.
what goes on.
Okay, I'm just,
Yep.
I just think it's a lot of money for someone retired and,
Well, you're going to see some of us there too.
Yeah.
Voicing the same opinion.
Be ready to talk again. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other public to be heard? This is not an agenda item. Okay.
Scott Quinlan, Spliceway. So if the deadline for getting this in front of the council was at noon today, why wasn't this yesterday?
These are regularly, these are scheduled for a year. We have these dates set.
Okay.
And they're approved, and we can't
But
change.
that's all I'm saying is it's pushed back another month then, so, yeah.
Yep.
Hi, Doug again. So,
Full name?
Doug Buchanan. So, you guys say you want to go to the city engineer. So the snag I see there is just like the code enforcer. They work part-time. They don't have enough people on staff. So my question on that note is, this engineer, does he only work 2 days a month? I mean, is this going to be another snag for another push? And then my other question is,
Are you going to concrete?
am I good at it?
Are you going to concrete your driveway?
I like
Is that
to
what you want to pour?
I want to expand it over to the side of my garage.
Yeah. Is it going to be concrete?
Yes.
It won't go to the city engineer.
Okay. But you guys, I'm just curious on that note, you know. And then my other question is that does the city of Fraser, besides public safety, and I'm not sure of any other department, have an official Facebook page, not some page, random pages that are run by the city residents?
I'd have to forward to the city clerk.
City council page.
Yeah.
Fraser City Hall page, yes.
Okay.
And that was this published there for this meeting?
There's a calendar that's on there. I don't run it. There's a communications director that runs that. So I didn't look. I don't know.
No.
You can go on the City of Fraser website, and it shows the meetings.
Shows the dates.
There's a social media link to that website.
It shows the dates of the meetings. Yeah.
Right.
I'm sure the agendas are published too on there,
They
probably.
will be.
I can't speak to the Facebook page. I don't.
Oh, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, because it seems like everybody gets everything off of Facebook, social media.
No.
Facebook isn't the internet.
Yeah, yeah.
Get it off an official.
Enough.
Yeah.
Enough.
I know the official one
That's
puts out
still
like
not-
snow emergencies and
Yeah.
mushroom drop and recreation stuff.
Yeah, so that's,
Yeah.
Please don't believe what's on Facebook.
Yeah.
well, that's why I'm asking that question. It's an official page by the city, ran by the city,
No,
not by
no.
some clown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, cool, thanks.
Thanks, everybody. No other public to be heard? Okay. So we're going to go back to Lauren's got a monthly report.
Yep, should say March. Sorry about the error. Hockeyland, they recorded all the documents with Macomb. Now they're just finalizing. I think there was some issues with people driving over the culvert to get out to the road, I believe. So they're working on getting a fence out there, and they're working with the building department on that. I believe that's the only update on that. I think everyone's aware that the sheets began demolition. Currently kind of finalizing their conditional rezoning agreement and their final site plan, concept plan. We're having some disagreements over their lighting. So once that's kind of smoothed out, it'll, once they submit something, it'll come to planning commission so they can review. The only other items were items that the planning commission saw last month with the duplexes, the Masonic Boulevard strip mall, and the special land use. I believe that's it. I know I sent out a feeler via email about having planning commission packets, having them be picked up. It's actually more difficult to have people split. Some people get it picked up, some don't. So it sounds like enough people want them to still be delivered, so they'll just keep being delivered.
Okay with that.
Yep.
But that is it from planning, I believe. Thank you.
Any questions for Lauren? I see a light here. Is that?
Me,
Oh, it's
I have a question.
Commissioner Farina.
For the attorney. I thought the only things that were open on Hockeyland were formalizing and submitting the documentation for approval. That's what we were told last month by Don.
So you guys had asked me at the last planning commission meeting to get an update from Don on what was going on with Hockeyland, and what Lauren just told you is what Don told me on that. So again, that's not something that I'm involved with, so I can only tell you what Don told me, and what Lauren just said is basically what Don communicated to me.
So I think I might have miscommunicated, and I apologize. I don't think the fence isn't part of their approval. I believe it's a code enforcement. They're just following up with
Correct.
that. So
And that was turned in 7 months ago.
sure.
Okay. So do we have any idea when it will be finalized? So they have an occupancy permit?
I don't think I can speak to that.
I can ask Don. I don't know him personally.
Okay, let me know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Lauren on that? Okay. All right, so zoning board of appeals, member liaison report.
Okay, the meeting tomorrow night is canceled because there's no business. Basically, we had a ZBA granted a parking on Masonic for 25-01, 16945 Masonic Boulevard. Request for a commercial driveway. We allowed them to reduce the number of parking spaces, but there was a nonconformity. They wanted to put a garage door into the front of the building and then back a semi-truck into that. It's right next to the
Post office.
the post office there, and we considered that to be a safety hazard, and as well as the planning commission also had the same feeling, so that was not allowed for them. They're supposed to come back to planning.
Is it going to remain one way? Is that, because wasn't it something about being one way and two way, it had to be wider?
It didn't meet the 30-foot width at the approach.
Right, yeah. Yes, I'm sorry, but that wasn't part of the variance.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just to let you know, at our last meeting, they said they were gonna clean up all that stuff on the side of the yard. All that stuff out there, it's not cleaned up. So if you could let the
Enforcement.
code enforcement know about that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, commissioner comments and items of interest or concern. We'll start with Commissioner Barr.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Any items of interest or concerns?
Oh, for
Yeah, we're at the, yeah,
No, I don't have anything to say this time.
no comments? Okay. Commissioner Farina.
Just to let you know, St. Malachy's is having a reverse raffle with a $5,000 grand prize, and that's where the last ticket drawn is the grand prize winner. And we sell only 199 tickets. And then if you get out early, you can buy a chance for the 200th ticket. So it's a lot of fun, great food, adult beverages, setups are provided, and it is on April the 19th, I believe. So you want to come, let me know. I'll be glad to get you tickets.
How many more fish fries?
I think we've done 4 more fish fries.
4 more Fridays.
Yeah, delicious fish, by the way. Our production is up 50%, our sales are up 50%, it's that good.
It is good.
Thank you.
Nothing? Nope. Commissioner Zarnecki.
I have nothing, thank you.
Commissioner Toller.
Nothing. Thank you.
Commissioner Meyer.
Nothing.
Okay, the only thing I had is, I think from before about the alternate members, did we ever do anything with that?
Yeah, I did look into that. There's nothing for planning commission on that end.
Really?
There's some language for zoning board,
Yes, zoning.
but not for planning, so.
It's kind of nice if we could have, but that's just for the public and that, so that we could give you a full board if somebody can't make it. It's always good to have a full board, but
That might be
Yes.
one of the reasons why the voting for planning commission, it's only an affirmative vote of those present.
Right.
And ZBA is different, so that probably goes to that point.
so that's different than, because zoning had to be
Zoning, it was
No
a
matter-
majority of the board.
of the board, even if
Even if
the
they
whole board
weren't
wasn't there.
Right. So if you have 7 members and only 5 show up, you still need 4. Whereas planning, it's a majority of those present. So
Plan.
5,
okay.
you'd only need.
So if we only have 5, it's got to be 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I had. Nobody else? If,
Can I just clarify what happened with the decal mechanical as well? So during that zoning board meeting, it was discussed how they actually need a Class A non-conforming designation to be able to do the work, including the driveway and the overhead door. So they do intend to come back to Planning Commission. They still have time before the May agenda to get their submission in, but they do intend to seek out that Class A non-conforming use designation.
okay, thanks, Lauren. All right, take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Meyer, support by Commissioner Farina. Who's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Okay, you don't want to spend the night. Thank you for attending, and, you got the time on that one?
8:36.